got a confession to make. Long before I was driving an automobile with 4 wheels and an engine, I was actually on 2 wheels and an engine. Don't tell Jinno, I hate listening to that guy. My first experience was with a Yamaha Zuma. It was bright red and white and had knobby tires, had a lot of fun with it. Then I moved on to a 250cc Honda Rebel. Goodness gracious, I loved that motorcycle. It was clean, it was classic looking, it was low to the ground, it was perfect for my height, really. It was actually my mom's motorcycle, but that's a completely different story. So I had that bike for over 20 years, half my life at that point. And so you can just imagine how much it absolutely pained me to have to let it go. I did so for 2 reasons. Number one is that I'm not the sort of person that actually goes outside of the city on a motorcycle or on 2 wheels for that matter, because, well, that's why I have an automobile. I prefer that over the motorcycle or a scooter any day of the week and twice on Sunday, especially if I'm obviously getting out of the city. Number two is that I realized that since I am perpetually inside the city on this thing, I don't necessarily need a clutch. So in all honesty, you cannot beat a twist and go. But coming from a Honda Rebel doesn't mean that I had to forfeit style and a classic look. This is my 2013 Vespa LX150, and sure, it looks great. In fact, there's more than a handful of people that own the similar Vespa that take it out of the city to get coffee, because there's no coffee inside the city. The question is, however, can it withstand the rigors of being a daily drive? Find out on this episode of Behind the Desk. Behind the wheel. No, wait. Beyond the ride. That's what he says, right? Beyond the ride. And then he goes, something like that. Okay, so full disclosure, I've hijacked this channel because this Jinno refuses to return any of my messages. The guy's in New York, hanging out with friends, having the time of his life. Dude, I know you're watching, so listen up. What we want are 2 gray papaya hot dogs and a cheesecake. So it's basically pasalubong for your channel, which is, if you think about it, it's a pretty good deal. On a previous episode of Beyond the Ride, there was a bit of a history lesson on the Vespa's popularity in movies and how, because of its iconic shape, was named so. In case you missed it, check out the review of the 2019 Vespa GTS 300 Super Sport. And then after that, watch LL Cool J's Little White Pimp review the Vespa Sprint S150, yet another classic-looking scooter. Now, my LX150 has a 4-stroke single overhead cam 3-valve engine that produces 11.8 horses and 11.5 newton-meters of torque mated to a CVT. It's got a dry weight of 225 pounds and can achieve 30 kilometers per liter. You know, I don't mean to deviate, but if there are any AutoDeal viewers watching right now and you've ever wondered the difference between 100 horses and 110 horses and what kind of horsepower figure that is and what those 10 horsepower can do, here's a bit of an moment for you. This scooter has got 11.8 horses and 11.5 newton meters of torque, so keep that in mind. The dry weight is 225. I'm about $138, and then it can carry 8 liters of fuel. And yet all of that can go putting along down the road at 100 kilometers per hour at full throttle. Not very safe, but yet it still can. Just a little bit of food for thought for you. Now, back to the Vespa itself. The one great advantage that I have over the other new models out there is time. Time, however, obviously, will not affect its overall design. The boxy yet bulbous look and the tall stance are easily recognized from hundreds of meters away, even mimicked by other manufacturers, if I'm being honest. It's reminiscent of a time when simplicity was the moda, and yet modern enough thanks to a touch of refresh, enough to merit a whole new generation's admiration and yearning. The fact that I've driven my Vespa over 50,000 kilometers in the last 10 years without ever stepping outside of the city gives me a very unique perspective. Can it actually be a real workhorse inside the city as a daily drive? Well, really, apart from the normal maintenance cost of batteries, tires, oils, and filters, mechanically, I haven't had any problems at all. There are, however, some aspects that might get to some people's OCD-ness. For instance, all the chrome parts on the bike, be it the side mirror, up here on the front, or here at the rear rack, they're starting to look very, very weathered. Maybe because I haven't taken care of it very well, but to be honest with you, it adds a lot of flavor. It adds age to it, much like a person with gray hair or white hairs. It's like a silver fox kind of a thing. The one thing that will really tick you off, and it pisses me off, is the clock. The battery of the clock on the, what do you call this part again?
I guess you could say dash.
You can see a dashboard on this thing? Okay, fine. The clock on the dash dies more often than you'd like it to. So you gotta go into the shop. They have to make this entire thing buckless just to change the battery of the clock. So that is a little bit of a piss off. But truth be told, in general, there aren't much complaints about it. The question is, however, how does it drive? Or rather, how does it ride? The 150cc produces a fraction less than 12 horses and is pretty stable on the road when you're not riding it like Rossi on his final lap ever, thanks to its sheet metal body. There is a great deal more vibration felt on the Vespa, so much so that when you're on longer drives, it's possible to get a little numb. On your butt or on your throttle hand, the vibration felt is where it's very indicative of Vespa, and so are the extremely unique engine and exhaust notes. The riding position is actually quite regal, really. The Vespa seats you in a manner where you can correct your posture as if you're having tea with the queen, and truthfully, sit and act accordingly pa. Price is not just the largest difference, but rather the scooter's rake. See, while most manufacturers position the front tubes at a larger angle, the Vespas are steeper. As a result, to be honest, I've had a moment, or maybe even four, where the front end gives in and, well, I've had to catch it. So, okay, yeah, fine. I get the whole let's go out of town on the Vespa, let's get a coffee somewhere outside the city. And when you do get it, the problem is, where the hell are you supposed to put it? This is why I like cars. Cup holders are standard. Seriously, how difficult can this be? It's only 2 wheels. I review 4. Come on, Jinno. If there's anybody interested in getting themselves a Vespa anytime soon, my advice would be to actually head to the dealership and hop on one just to get used to the seat height of this bike, because it's 785 millimeters tall. And, well, my inseam's not very long and I'm only 5 feet 5 inches tall, but my feet are already tiptoeing on the ground. Now, although the LX150 is no longer available, the closest one that you can get to 150cc would be the 155cc Primavera, and that's available at 185,000 Philippine pesos. So when you are ready to purchase, do head on over to motodeal.com.ph. Now, I've had this bike for almost a decade and I've enjoyed every single moment with it. I haven't had any major complaints at all, and I'm looking forward to the many more years that I'm going to be driving with this thing. So looks it definitely has, and the beauty about it is that, well, it's got the goods to back it up.
Other way.
He walks out this way?
Yeah.
What kind of maniac walks out this way?